Hi, my name is Lauren Hoffner. I'm going to be going over how to do thin layer chromatography. This is a pretty easy and effective lab technique that could be used to analyze the purity of compounds in a mixture, check the progression of reaction, and compare standards of known substances to unknown substances that may be made in your reactions. For the preparation of the TLC plate, you'll want to draw a line 1 centimeter above the base of the plate, and this will be your baseline. And you'll want to use pencil to do that rather than pen, because if you use pen, the ink will run up the plate as the solvent travels up it. And then you'll want to label your plate according to whether you're measuring the progression of reaction or comparing standards to products that may be made in your reaction. And then when spotting the plate with samples, you want to use separate capillary tubes to pick up the samples. And then once they're spotted, you want to make sure the spots are only 1 to 2 millimeters wide, because you don't want the spots to run into each other as they travel up the plate. And then for the preparation of the solvent that will be in the TLC jar, you'll want to use a nonpolar compound such as hexanes and a polar compound such as ethyl acetate. And depending on the polarity of your compounds, you'll be using different proportions of these, whether it's 1 to 1, 7 to 3, or 3 to 7. It just depends. It's usually in your lab manual, but sometimes you have to try out different proportions of each one. And if it's too nonpolar, then the spots won't travel up the plate as well. And if it's too polar, then the spots will travel too far up the plate. So you just have to find that right proportion. And then when setting up the reaction chamber, you'll want to use tweezers to put in the silica plate, because silica is extremely toxic. And then you'll want to put the lid on before the solvent travels up the solvent line, because if the solvent travels up above the solvent line, then your R values will be messed up. And then you'll take out the plate once the solvent reaches 1 centimeter below the top of the plate. And then for analysis, you'll want to draw a solvent line where the solvent traveled up to, let the plate dry, place it under UV light, and then draw spots wherever you see them. And then to find the R values, you'll want to do the distance from the origin to the spot divided by the distance from the origin to the solvent front. And as you could see, the starting material usually has more spots because it's impure, and then as the reaction goes on, it's only the product that's left to show completion, and this is pretty pure. So that's pretty much how you do TLC.